What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90, and today it is time for the round of 16 knockout matches in Euro 2024. Now, I just want to quickly say I didn't get around to making match day 2 or match day 3 videos. I did still predict scores and provide tips over on Patreon, which you can click using the link down below. But basically, after I made that first video, a personal emergency basically happened in my life, and I was away from home for a couple of weeks. Essentially, the worst thing happened to me, really. One of the worst things. I'm not going to go into any more detail, but I couldn't make any videos, and I did post an update as to what exactly happened on Patreon for the paid members for transparency, because obviously they pay me for tips and everything like that, but I don't want it publicly known what happened, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Flashing up on the screen are the people that support me on the Patreon and have been since the start of the season when we've been doing it. So if you want to get a shout out in every single video, then be sure to join the Patreon using the link in the description. We will, of course, have tips for the round of 16 games beyond what we predict in this video. And in the round 3 predictions, I actually predicted 3 of the score draws, which was pretty cool. I predicted the 1-1 draw between Croatia and Italy. I predicted the 1-1 draw between Slovakia and Romania, and I predicted the 0-0 draw between Denmark and Serbia. But now it is time, as I said, for the knockout round. So the first fixture, make sure to leave your predictions down in the comments below. I will be giving a tip for every single game as well, just no accumulators and stuff. I do that over on Patreon and using the membership on YouTube. But Switzerland, Italy, I think Switzerland could actually get a sort of an upset victory against Italy here. They're outsiders at 3.45, but for regular time, 90 minutes, and that's what the full-time market is based on. It doesn't take into account extra time. If you bet on, say, Switzerland to win and they win in extra time, your bet will lose. So I think for the full-time, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and then we will say Italy to progress through on penalties. Both Switzerland and Italy have very, very good goalkeepers, great shot stoppers, but I think Donnarumma will just have the edge in the penalty shootout, just like Italy did in the final of the previous Euros. Italy to progress on penalties in Berlin, and the tip is going to be both teams to score at 2.1. Switzerland's results here, they drew with Germany, they drew with Scotland, which is not a great result, but they did, of course, score, and they scored 3 against Hungary, so they've been scoring. So I think Switzerland, although they're kind of the weaker team, they have enough to score, and I don't see Italy scoring tons. So I think 1-1 sounds good to me. After this, it's Germany up against Denmark. Denmark, how many goals have they scored? Is it 1? No, 2. They scored 2 goals, not won a single game, yet here they are. And Germany have scored a lot of goals. They've scored 8 goals, and I think we are going to see Germany to win in regular time and both teams to score 2-1. I'm not certain on both teams to score, which is why I haven't made my tip Germany and both teams to score, but it definitely could happen. My tip, however, is simply Germany to win at 1.62, knocking Denmark out with a winless Euro 2024 campaign. After this, England up against Slovakia. I tell you what, that 0-0 was one of the most boring games I've watched in a long, long time. I thought Jude Bellingham, I almost feel like he needs dropping, at least for this game. He was awful in that game. Every time I watch Jude Bellingham play, he plays terribly, and then when I don't watch him, he plays amazing. So I have a really sort of, I feel like, twisted view of Bellingham. I almost think he's overrated, but I kind of know he's not. But every time I've watched him, he's just been terrible. But I'm going to say England scrape through on their very favourable side of the draw, 1-0 against Slovakia. And the tip is going to be England to win and under 3.5 goals at 1.95. Are England going to win 4-0? No. Are there going to be 4 goals? No, they just aren't. We don't play like that. We'll get a lead and, I don't know, maybe it'll be 0-0 half-time again and we can scrape a second-half goal with a substitute. That's the way I see us progressing here. I almost think we need to play a better team so that they actually come out and attack us and give us room to exploit the space left behind, or maybe even on the counter-attack if you're playing against the likes of Germany or France or Spain, because England don't do well against a team that sit back and soak up pressure, because it's just loads of pointless little sideways passes that don't actually do anything. So I think this would be more of the same, but surely England can't go out with a whimper after a pretty poor group stage. 5 points, scoring what? How many goals? 1, 2? 1 or 2? Not many goals at all. And then just going out to Slovakia. That would be so disappointing, but it probably would result in the sacking or at least resignation from Gareth Southgate. So I think England have to find a way. 1-0. After this, Spain up against Georgia. Georgia, a brilliant result against Portugal to qualify. I don't think they're going to be able to beat Spain, however. Obviously, Portugal, they'd already qualified and everything like that. Georgia had all to play for, but Spain, they've been the best team so far. the group of death they were in, and they've come away unscathed with 9 points. This should be straightforward. It doesn't need to be 6-0. I'm just going to say 2-0, but the tip is going to be Spain -1 handicap at 1.61. That covers you for 2-0, but also if it is 6-0, then you've got your money there at 1.61, which is, you know, it would be fairly straightforward. If they went 5 or 6-0, you would have got this handicap in the bag. So good tournament from Georgia. You know, no one expected them to get this far, but I think it ends against Spain. After this, it's France up against Belgium. Belgium, I'd imagine Belgium fans are probably feeling as disappointed with Belgium's group stage performance as England fans are with England's group stage performance. Belgium losing to Slovakia really was the killer. But they finished second, and that means they face France. Obviously, we were expecting Belgium to top the group and be on England's side of the draw, but no, they face France. And although France haven't really been firing, they've scored one goal in the group stage that wasn't an own goal, and that was a penalty. So if you look here, we had the 1-1 draw with Poland, which was a penalty. We had the 0-0 draw with Netherlands, where Netherlands had a goal disallowed, perhaps a bit dubiously, and then the 1-0 win, which was an own goal from Austria. Austria, of course, topping the group. Fantastic from them. So they're not quite firing, but I think they will against Belgium. 2-1. I think it's going to be a good game. My tip is going to be France to win at 1.92. If it was like 1.6, 1.5 odds for France to win here for whatever reason, I definitely would have gone France and both teams to score. I think 2-1 is quite likely for these two teams for this matchup, France to progress. After this, it's Portugal up against Slovenia. Slovenia, draw, 1-1, 1-1, 0-0. I think Portugal are going to get the win. This was a 2-0 loss to Georgia, but the games where it mattered, good results. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Portugal. And the tip is Portugal to win at 1.43. It's not much. You could go Portugal and under 3.5 goals, but they might really start firing in the knockout stages. They might have a similar run to Euro 2016 where they just kind of scrape through the knockout stages. But either way, Portugal should be good enough to get past this Slovenia side. So I'm going to go for Portugal 2, Slovenia 0. After this, Romania, the surprise package from Group E. Really, it was that 3-0 thrashing of Ukraine on the first day that actually ended up sending Ukraine home on goal difference, the first and only team ever to be eliminated from the Euros, finishing on 4 points. That's insane. And the Netherlands, surprise loss to Austria, which sees them finish third, but still a favourable side of the draw for the Netherlands. They actually, it's probably better for them to finish third in the group than second, and they've got a good run to the final compared to the likes of France, who would have to get past Belgium and then another very good team. So Romania, Netherlands, I think Romania are good enough to score. I am going to shade it to the Netherlands, 2-1, Netherlands to win at 1.45. And after this, Austria up against Turkey. It's hard to look past that brilliant performance from Austria against the Netherlands. I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think both teams will score, so I've actually pushed the button here, and the tip is going to be Austria to win and both teams to score at 4. And it's at Leipzig. And if there's any team in the Bundesliga that has result on both teams to score, it's RB Leipzig. Arguably, possibly Bayern Munich as well, but RB Leipzig. So we're going to channel that. Goals in Leipzig as standard in the Bundesliga to see Austria, who are the favourites to qualify, Netherlands the favourites, Portugal the favourites, France the favourites, Spain the favourites, England the favourites, Germany the favourites, and you guessed it, Italy the favourites. I think the round of 16 is usually where you separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. Like, you get rid of any but one, usually, sort of outsider, potential dark horse. You kind of get rid of them all in this first knockout stage, and the favourites you would expect to qualify. I think if there is going to be an upset, it could be Switzerland through against Italy, or I would say Romania through against Netherlands. That would be quite the upset. I wouldn't say there's much of an upset here if either team goes through, to be honest, but then the quarterfinals is where it gets juicy, and we could see things going either way. So that's going to do it for my round of 16 predictions. Be sure to drop a like, leave your predictions down in the comments below, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.